Hey guys, Noelle here, and today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for traveling with babies and toddlers and kids in general. So, in the next 2 weeks, me and my 2 kids and my husband are driving in our little Corolla all the way from Virginia to the beaches in Texas. It's going to be a long drive. So total, it's going to be about 21 hours, and it's going to be broken up into 3 days because I just don't think I have the emotional energy to do 21 hours straight in the car with my kids. But as I'm prepping things and I'm making plans for how we're going to make this trip easy for our family, I kind of wanted to go through things that I like to do and other things that I have learned also in airline travel, going on airplanes, and stuff that I found really helpful with that. So first I kind of want to go into air travel, going in airplanes and things, just because that's not what I'm doing this time, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. Now below, at least the airlines I fly, below 2, you don't have to pay for a ticket, but once they turn 2 and over, you have to pay for a ticket, unfortunately. Under 2, they can be a lap child. You can also buy them a ticket, but we usually have them be a lap child just to save money. So the things I've found to be really helpful when you're preparing to go on an airplane with babies is wear your kid. You're totally fine if you have lots of children and you need a double stroller and everything to get through the airport, go for it. But I find that for me, having my kid worn is so easy because one, they don't make you take off your baby when you go through security, so it's a lot faster, and you're able to just always have them there. And I don't know about everyone else's children, but my kids always slept best when I was wearing them, so that was just really helpful for me. They also have umbrella strollers that you can just bring in the airplane because a lot of times you need to deconstruct the stroller and things at different times, so if you can also buy just ones that can collapse really small. Something else on baby land is usually they let you bring formula and breast milk and things like that, but sometimes they will test it, so just be prepared for that. You're gonna always have to take it out when you are going to go through security, and just making sure that you have that ease of access and not at literally the bottom of your bag, because you will be flagged and that's a pain in the butt. So another thing that's really helpful is when you have a baby, the takeoff and the touchdown of a flight, like if you ever have ear pop stuff and you have to chew gum in order to make it more comfortable, it's the same thing for babies, and a lot of times babies will get really cranky because of the pressure changes in their ears. So it's really helpful to, if they take a pacifier, to give them a pacifier, or to breastfeed them, or to bottle feed them during those 2 times. A lot of times babies like airplanes because the loud sounds reminds them of their sound maker or things like that, but obviously I've had my fair share of meltdowns in an airplane, and that's not fun. Now with toddlers, I have not personally flown with a toddler yet, so I'm a little nervous for when we do have to, but something that I would do is make sure to get a bag or a backpack that Adeline, my toddler, likes, and that can be her bag for her toys, that she can keep that. Obviously if she won't carry it, I can grab it, but I know that all of her things are in this bag, so that's going to be really helpful to kind of have that. I'm also going to use that tip when I go in the car and have a bag dedicated to her things. Now in general with airplanes, it's going to be best to book a direct flight if you can with kids. Obviously we've had to do layovers with our kids and stuff because it just doesn't make sense financially for us. But if you do need a layover, not choosing one that has a very short period of time, because a lot of times layovers are a good time for diaper changes, lunch, dinner, things like that. So just finding that good sweet spot. You don't want to be there for 5 hours, but you don't want to have 30 minutes and running across the airport. So another tip that's really helpful is when you do choose a seat, try to be closer to an aisle if possible, because we know that it will always be the time that you are in an airplane that your child blows out or needs to go to the bathroom, or something happens where you need to get access to your stuff, and it's just a lot less stressful when you don't have to scooch in front of people sitting, and that always makes me feel bad because I don't want to inconvenience anyone and everything, so it just makes it easier. So another thing, when I was talking about giving the babies a pacifier or a bottle for helping ear pain, is giving the kids toddlers like lollipops or ring pops or things like that can help with the ear pressure pain. The last thing with toddler flights is making sure you talk about airplanes, that they understand what an airplane is before they go in. They get more than they let on a lot of times, so preparing them, letting them watch shows about airplanes, reading books about airplanes, and things like that will make the transition a lot easier than just getting on a big metal thing they don't know what it is. Road trips. A lot of these same principles I talked with the airline travel is going to apply with road trips. So the biggest thing is making sure that you break your trip up into manageable parts. Obviously, all of our kids are going to have times where they're done with the car. They're sick of it, and making sure that you have planned those breaks and those time that you can go out and get around and walk and have a little bit of rest time I usually say like 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, just depending on how old your kids are. Something that my friend told me that I thought was a really good idea was when you do plan these rest stops, not only get food, go to the bathroom, things like that, but if your children get really antsy, you could go to a place that you know that they can get their energy out. Like you could go to run around Bass Pro Shop or IKEA, or run around at a bounce house or the mall at the play place or something like that. Just making it more of an experience rather than just a really long day would probably make them a lot more willing to participate in the experience. Some items that I really like on road trips are, I'll link it and I'll just put a picture right here, is this holder that you can hold even your phone or any size tablet. They have a lot of sliding things that are really helpful too, but I really like the thing that we got that goes on the headrest. And there's also, I bought a few months ago a table thing to go on top of their car seat for my toddler Adeline, and she didn't like it when I first got it for her, but she was like 18 months. So I'm going to try it this time that can let her color, eat food, do things, and kind of give her a little more independence on her space. Something also that I really like on items is basically a converter for the car to an outlet. Some new cars have outlets, which is really awesome, but we have older cars that don't. You can buy this off of Amazon, and it's really helpful if you need to charge something or you need to plug in whatever, or we at one point had to use it for a bottle warmer or whatever you need to get. And that's been really nice to have. When we made the road trip last year down to Texas for the summer, my daughter Adeline was a little over 1, and we drove 18 hours straight, and that was a little painful, but we did it. Something that really helped me with her that I'm going to be utilizing this time is going to the Dollar Tree and buying a bunch of random little things. I don't want to spend too much money. Basically, the thing that helped her the most was keeping her entertained with something new. So I basically set a timer, and every hour I gave her a new little trinket that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree. So if it be a slinky or a coloring book or stickers or a little animal figurine or something like that, and it was about an hour every time I gave it to her. Now obviously she got bored with the item a lot sooner than that, but she at least got something new every hour or so, and also getting her lots and lots of snacks, getting the good stuff, the ones that they like, and getting some good snack cups. When we would give her drive through, we got chicken nuggets or whatever, we just put them in those snack cups. So she now she'd be fine, but when she was little, kept the mess a little bit at bay, but not really. Our car was a disaster after, let's be honest. Another thing is making sure, like I talked about in the airline travel part, was having the bag of their stuff. Now that I have two, I'm going to try to separate. Obviously the diaper bag is just in general has all of the stuff, but keeping a bag to entertain Adeline and keeping a bag with Lucy's stuff separate, because it'll be a lot easier to grab. And also keeping an extra pair of clothes and all their diapers and things easily accessible, because you could have blowouts, you could have kids that get sick, you could have spills, things like that. So you don't want to have to dig through your packed car to get an extra outfit. And the last tip for traveling in a car that I really I used is waiting as long as possible to break out the electronics. That you bring them and don't show them to them, but once they've gotten to this point where they're bored of the toys, they're bored of the books, they're bored of everything, you can now make the electronics be the new exciting thing that can keep them entertained longer. And one last thing I will say is I have had a lot of friends have success with waking up super early so their kids are still drowsy to keep driving, or to drive straight through the night, to basically leave at their bedtime and drive through the night. My husband and I would not do well with that. We would get really cranky and it would not be a good time. So that's not something we are going to do, but there are lots of ways. It just depends on how fast you need to go and how long you need to drive. So, and then the last thing I'm going to touch on is staying in a hotel or an Airbnb or in your parents' house or in a new place. Obviously, at your parents' house or whatever, they may have a pack and play, they may have somewhere for your kids to sleep, but a hotel should. You go to reserve your spot in a hotel or an Airbnb, just make sure you look to see if your kid does need a pack and play or a cot or things like that, that whatever you reserve has that option. Now, a lot of times when you do reserve that, you're going to need to call them like a day in advance or whatever when you check in, to make sure that that is available for you when you're going to go stay there. But when you're at your parents' house, you can get, if you need to find a cheap one off Facebook Marketplace, if you can't keep it in your stuff. Or if you can bring it, that's great too. Also, something that's helped my kids sleep when they're in a new place is kind of keeping the nighttime routine the same. So like we will bring their sleep sacks if they sleep with one, or we will bring their nighttime lotion, or their sound machine is really helpful to have that same kind of vibe. Both of my kids like to sleep with stuffed animals, so we'll bring those, and basic, pretty similar stuff that you'd say duh. When you get there, just don't expect it to go perfect the first night. Try to keep your nighttime routine pretty similar to what you do at home. It's really hard sometimes with the time change or long travel days, and just be patient with yourself, be patient with your kids. It will get better. Changing a few hours to or forward or back is always hard with children. Some people like to try to gradually transition them to that time before they leave, which some people have a lot of success with, and then some people just choose to wait until that day, and that's totally fine too. Okay, so those are my biggest tips and tricks that I have found when I travel with my kids. Obviously, this is not everything. If you have any tips or tricks that you love, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm gonna wrap this video up now, but please like, subscribe, and comment below what more you want to see from me. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!